Hello, Crobe.
Hello, Dave.
There we go. How are you today, Crobe?
I am being fine. Yourself?
So far, not too bad, but the day is still young.
Hi, Avishai. Good afternoon to you.
Hey.
We'll give it just a minute or two. The agenda might be where you remember it was. They're going through and moving all the foundation agendas into the foundation Google Drive.
Is that why I moved?
Yeah. Which I need to update. Well, while I'm sitting here, I will update the pin in our Slack channel. Security education. Ha! Look at that. Action item complete.
That was a good start to the day.
Right. Right. All right, folks. If anyone has any items they would like to discuss today, please add it to our delightful agenda.
Could you share the agenda? It's not a meeting invite.
You know, that is a kind of an operations problem. If only there was somebody on staff that could fix that for us.
I have a feeling that's me, but I don't know of those powers.
It is now officially, the new link is pinned on top of our Slack channel, which is kind of a thing for anything I'm affiliated with. So please feel free to add any items. Very briefly, I have no updates from the governing board.
Whatever that noise was, we didn't hear it.
How about this?
We heard the first note and then not the rest.
Yeah. And then some like Star Wars type of music in the background. So like the force is with us.
Technology.
That's right. Plug it back in. That'll fix it.
The greatest IT trick.
All right. Well, yeah, so no updates from the GB. That still does not hinder us from continuing progress and work on things we would like to do. To that end, I had a couple discussions, one with Max and then one with Eddie from Sonatype about the creating an OSS newbie class. And that is currently issue. Yesenia's name's covering up the issue. Issue 72. Issue 72. So do we think this would be something interesting for us to work on while we wait for my friends at Intel to deliver the developer manager class? Or are there other topics we would like to explore and work on first? I know that the E&I committee has a couple targets of things they would like to start doing. Do we want to bring some of that back here to this group? Or do we want, are there other topics we would like to talk about?
We can start with the newbie class. Could you share a little bit of insight on it for those that coffee hasn't kicked in and they don't remember?
Sure. The idea is, wouldn't it be great if we pointed people to resources so that they could get started within the open source ecosystem? Things like how to file a PR or an issue, kind of talking about how communities and projects operate, doing some basic things to help give somebody insight into what it would take to start, and ideally this would end with them starting with their very first PR on a project they wanted to participate in. And then Max went through and expanded it into kind of explaining what is open source, ways of working, your toolkit, and then getting started. And Dr. Wheeler pointed out there may be a class about this already. So is this something we think, does this topic add some value? We would like to explore it. And if so, is anyone interested in maybe perusing through the existing LF class to see if that kind of meets what the objectives laid out in our issue or not?
Like checking if there's another course that's very similar to what we're looking for, or
There are some classes, in particular, they have LDF 102. I just don't know if it really, I haven't had the time to take it since I just discovered it this morning, since I read Wheeler's comment. So I don't know if this class addresses that concern or not. It might, and maybe we just want to submit some PRs to improve that class, or maybe our idea is unique enough and would add value. We want to do our own thing. Randall.
I spoke to some of the people around me at LF training and certification, and it was of the opinion that we don't have one class. We have several classes that cover that. And different varying degrees of intricacy and kind of what you're looking to do. They kind of have a learning path, which is not the greatest thing. The learning paths on the LF platform are somewhat rigid, but they did put a learning path together. And there is some concern about adding another class to maintain, because currently they're trying to contract their footprint to the most essential thing. So the question that you're going to run into on the LF side in creating a new course is what would be the actual tangible demand for this course.
I can state that with our first couple DE&I office hour efforts, we had people that were new to the trade, were interested and didn't know exactly where to start. I've had that expressed to me at like OpenSSF Day. People are curious, they would like to jump on, but they're not sure how. I don't know if the existing 102 class meets that need, or if we want to potentially contribute and make it better.
Mm-hmm. There's also like a welcome to Linux class. There's like a Git class. There's a few things in there that kind of, I think overall we probably have all the content. It would just be a matter of whether or not it's organized appropriately. And that's actually a very valid thing, because that's something that we found in a lot of LF courses, that, for example, we go from 0 to like 25 to 100. So that could be a very valid thing, that they just need to be better organized. So, and also going back to tangible demand, they would be looking for, like, even if I were to tell them that there's like 10,000 people interested, that's still a pretty low number for them. It needs to be like an actual tangible number where it would be worth it to like maintain the course, invest, and all that different type of stuff. And of course, you know that I could always bring Tim into the conversation, but he would probably say the same thing.
What if the SIG wants to put together their own class and maintain it?
Then that is a possibility. But then that would be something that we would have to talk to Clyde about what the cost there would be and stuff like that. But I don't think that as far as on our side, there would be very much objection to that. But I know that there's economics that I don't understand yet, if you will.
Yeah. Well, and I would imagine this would be a class that there would be no revenue on.
Right.
Because these are people just starting out.
And also, just for the record, I have talked to them about that. I know it's not entirely about that. And I know it's not entirely about, well, if we pay for the class, can we still put it on there? That's only part of the problem. So, yeah.
Well, so do I have anyone interested in running through the LFD 102 class for us to see if that kind of meets some of the objectives that Max started laying out? If we want to augment or set our own course.
That's
Probably not.
David's course, right?
It's not.
It's not the 102?
No.
Okay.
This is
Sorry.
a beginner's guide to open source development. His is the secure fundamentals.
Okay, sorry.
I might be able to do that, Crub. I need to see if I actually have the documents, like the source code for that course, so that I could just run through it. If I have that, then it wouldn't be an issue.
Okay. That'd be great. It
Yeah.
says I can enroll today for $0.
Yeah, I
Fair.
can review it just to see. And it might be on my learning. Probably have to do it anyway.
You might have to do it anyway. Aw.
Do you know if 102 is an EDX class?
No.
Okay.
I just discovered it 3 minutes before the call started
Fair.
Lucky.
because Wheeler said, "Oh, there might be some classes." I said, "Okay, cool. Let me go look."
The only thing that I
Well-
noticed is, at least in the LF training that I've had to do, a lot of it is like stuff I have to read.
Yeah.
So even if we use this and make videos out of it, I think that could be an improvement right there. Because the reading, nothing stuck for me.
Yeah, and then we have, if we wanted to, like, yes, you mentioned, we could potentially do videos on this. We could take this to conferences. We could, go out and kind of evangelize this out into the new learner community. And then say, hey, if you like this, go take the class. Go learn about open source licensing.
I think kind of like a hands-on type of class that somebody can take and export and teach is useful, because like I used to do stuff like this for different audiences all the time, whether it was people who are in education who are going out to teach their and what is open source for somebody who knows nothing about open source, like teachers or university students or just anything from the beginning. But it always worked well in sort of like a hands-on lab type of environment, because they weren't going to go read something and do it unless they were motivated enough as part of another course. Like if they're going to be part of Alpha Omega and they needed to know the basics and they wanted to do it on their own time and get comfortable before, that's the kind of thing that they might be motivated to look into.
And I think part of what the motivation why Max went through and kind of fleshed out the initial, very brief idea was that he's seen a lot of new graduates that don't necessarily have the appropriate skills to get there and jump right in and be able to start contributing to open source projects. They just don't understand the terminology or the tools.
Yeah, and it can be intimidating enough that it sometimes requires like somebody actually walking them through it. So that's why it's useful as like he said, taking it to conferences, giving it as a material, teaching the training the trainer type of thing.
glad to report my very first bug I ever filed. I got the response RTFM and they closed it. So yay, open source.
Nah, and the way we used to do it sometimes is we would take a couple of like projects that we owned, and then we would sometimes intentionally introduce a lot of typos to it, or find a lot of typos or code comments that were typos, and then list them all up as issues, and then have people in a room and actually walk them through, like picking one of those issues and actually walking through them. And that was like a low risk, low anxiety types of introduction, because what you were trying to teach them is just the mechanics of contributing. And so that was one way that we did it.
Yeah, that's absolutely something we could get set up in any one of the OpenSSF repos is set up, an issue that needs help, a good first contribution to kind of help get the tags set up and help stage it so that somebody could come in and walk through I love that idea.
Crow, 102 is not an EDX course, which means it's on Thought Industries, which means that like you are going to have a hard time doing anything that's like multimedia related. It basically has to be text based.
What is this, 1990?
Well, I didn't bring the I didn't make the software. So
Let me fire up my Netscape browser and log on to that website.
you want to know something funny? I can't even correct the line spacing on an LF's training platform if I wanted to, because they made no option to do that. So yeah.
Neat. Any additional thoughts around issue 72?
Well, let me say this, Crow. If we wanted to talk to Glenn about potentially using the SKF platform, that might be a possibility. But that would be a matter of having a conversation with Glenn, myself, and maybe Tim. Because that would allow
probably
for,
spec that out, like how many hours we wanted and whatnot, right?
Correct. 'Cause I think Tim got a call from the new general manager, and yep. And Tim was like, yeah, you got to let me know. And he was like, well, I expect somebody to work for me. And Tim's like, that's not going to happen. So he's like, well, if you got to, I know, right? So he's like, you got to come at me with like legitimate defined needs, and then I will schedule him. I'll have Randall schedule him. And basically, yeah, like that's where we're at. So we could definitely talk to Tim. Tim would definitely be the point of contact. If we wanted to make a course, it would have to go through Tim.
Well, if we wanted an LF education course.
Correct.
If we wanted to do like conference boot camp, we could roll our own. If we were so energized and enthused and motivated to do such a thing.
Okay.
Oh, I am going to check out that link a little later, Christine. Thank you. Well, it looks like you already did it, so I think we're done.
No, I love doing it. So I'm willing to contribute if we figure out where we want to do it.
Okay.
I also have a workbook that I created for quality assurance testing conference that goes through and implements all of the GitHub security features. Kind of walks them through how to do it, and then there's a few like vulnerabilities in the source code that lets them like actually see how the vulnerabilities like alert, and then patching it. It could be something also I'm willing to contribute.
That'd be awesome. We had talked about like the tester QA persona style person as part of this, that we need to help give them some education on how to do things more securely, look for security things. Cool. Any additional thoughts on this topic before we move on?
I'm just thinking about the added value, right, that the Open Source Security Foundation brings to this getting started guide. And I'm just thinking maybe it can be more security oriented and securing the supply chain Things like Yesenia just mentioned, maybe going over David's course and seeing if that can be turned into something more, let's get started, right? And not 200 pages of let's learn the fundamentals. So just, do you think it should be in this first issue? Do you think it can be editing the current issue?
I think we should edit the current issue. I agree. This absolutely, we need to have some type of security focus, because that's what's missing in a lot of the curriculum, is that a CS or MS class might have a security class on your senior year. But they, it's not really a focus from the beginning. We were trying to capture people as soon as possible to expose them to the concepts and start to build those habits for them.
And it can be developers, it can be researchers, right? Some tools like Alpha Omega tool set, whatever here, just go and use that, run scorecard, things like that.
Yeah, that's an excellent feedback. Yes, we should, but let's adjust the issue to highlight the security, since that's in our name. All right, I'm guessing that Yessie or Jonathan put something about Alpha and Omega.
I did. So the next two are thank you. Just a little update. I heard back from Purdue. I see Anna's on the call, so you should hear. You should have gotten the email. They don't start until I think next week or the following, but they're still in. They're going to be working on the tool, so that would be a nice little start to the university program. And then our mentorship starts tomorrow.
Ooh.
So we could also leverage them to kind of give us feedback on the course and how we're kind of structuring it, if anything.
And how many interns did you end up getting?
4.
4, very nice. And what types of stuff will they be working on this over the summer?
With myself, they're going to be 2 of them are going to be working on getting the Omega Analyzer to be able to push the completed single Sarah file up to the triage portal, and then the other engineer is going to be working on the API interface to retrieve the Sarah file.
Neat.
Yeah.
Worthwhile.
And then the other 2 are going to be off in security researcher land with Jonathan, doing another amazing complex technical work.
Well, I hope he has more duck hats for him.
I gotta get them rubber duck users.
All right, any questions about Alpha and Omega? All right, let's talk about the CFP.
There are 3 or 4. I don't know if the stain already passed due date, but they just announced that Japan has CFP till September. I'm going to be in Vegas, so I can go and represent at SquidCon. If anything, but I think that's a huge little avenue where, just from what I'm watching, a lot of the different diversity groups kind of got pissed off at DEF CON and they just went off and did their own conference.
Oh, wow.
So you have Girls Hack, Black Girls Hack, Latinas in Tech, Latinas in Cyber, a few other diversity groups that are sponsoring and working to build that up. So I submitted the Alpha Omega one for the Afrotech and SquidCon. But if we have one for CBI that we can probably announce there, I would appreciate that, or we can work on a new one. I'm not sure on the length of talks, because I didn't see anything online that you can told, but it's probably the 30-45 minute, or if I can do like a lightning talk. I think that's.
So you're going to be in Vegas that week?
Yes.
Could you do us a solid?
Yes.
Maybe. Both for the education plan and the DEI SIG, Girls Who Hack and Black Girls Who Hack, both were groups we identified as people we'd like to talk to and engage with. Could maybe you wander around and see if you can find anyone there interested in talking to us, and see if maybe we could lure some of them into either of our meetings to collaborate with us.
I know the chief strategy officer for Black Girls Hack.
Ooh.
And then what was the other one?
Girls Who Hack.
Girls Who Hack. I can find out who that is.
Yeah,
But,
just say, hey, we would love to talk to you to see if there's anything we could collaborate with, anything of the resources of the foundation that those organizations would benefit from or use.
I can do an intro to the Black Girls Hack if that helps, and then we can take it from there.
That'd be awesome. Because if there's one thing I like more volunteers. It's less work for me. Cool. Any questions? So for the open source summit Europe, there is going to be a OpenSSF day. So if anyone has the ability and interest to travel to Spain, there will be a CFP opening for that. And then the Japan one, they just announced. So that's very early. You could actually apply for the main conference if you're interested. And then there will be a follow-on OpenSSF one. I would anticipate that'll probably be later, sometime midsummer, that they would open that up. But there's opportunities there to present on a topic you're interested in, or a topic related to this group. Would be great. I'm going to try to make it to Spain. We'll see how that works.
Yeah, I'll file CFPs and hope for the best.
Right.
Yeah.
It's much easier when you get accepted to say, please, sir, I want some travel dollars.
Yeah, and I will be there regardless because it's Spain and Japan. So, if anything, I can be included or added to some of the CSPs.
Do you know what city in Japan it's going to be in?
Tokyo.
Godzilla Museum. Dave.
They have a zip line that you actually zip line into the mouth. Yes.
I know, that is so cool.
And there's
Dave.
there's a Pikachu train.
don't
I
know
ain't
about
coming back.
We got to get some CFPs dusted off, Russo.
Yeah, you may be right
Ourselves
about
at
that.
Tokyo.
When's that conference?
It's December 5th and the 6th. I know the date.
Oh boy.
Do our one session and then spend the whole time in the museum.
I just want to zip line to Godzilla's mouth.
All right. Any additional topics we would like to discuss today? All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm going to make a note to go bother my Intel friends about the manager class to kind of see where that is. I think I have a call with them later this week. And hopefully we'll have some content there to start to be able to work on. And then as we learn about 102, to see if that's something we want to try to augment or kind of roll around.
Yeah, I hear you're working in Java. You're going to be dealing with the manager class, maybe the manager class.
Yeah, the developer manager class. Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, Intel has like a 200 slide instructor led class for that.
Yeah, how to name your Java objects.
Well, I don't know about that.
That totally went over his head, Jonathan. I got it.
Did it?
I got it.
Yeah, there you go.
I got it.
That's not a detail a manager cares about.
No. Well, so in Java, the joke is that Java classes tend to be very, very long. It's like the manager delegate, the service manager delegate, factory is like, all of that, and like, and then it's like, API service manager delegate, right? Like that's the name of the class, and it's like this very like long and descriptive thing. That's a Java thing, so I figured yeah.
Well, it's a good thing Java's memory safe. We're going to convert everything to it.
Yeah.
All right, folks, you have a great day, and I may see some of you at the Voln group. If so, I'll be a little late, but enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you all.
See you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep, wait.